interested in Nigeria. He has
very
spent
close
6 months in
ties.
Nigeria when he was young, so
Yes.
he knows how Nigeria is important in
Yes.
Africa, not only in Africa, in the world, and he wants me and the embassy to increase the relation because we have not, our relations are not at the level they should be. So we have to take initiative in many, many aspects. Of course, the economy is important, but maybe even more important is the field of culture in a broad sense. Culture, university relations, cooperation in many fields. And this is one thing I'm really a lot of emphasis on. I really want to develop the link between universities, to have more Nigerian students to France, more French students coming to Nigeria. I think that would be excellent for young French men to come and spend some time in Nigeria. They will learn a lot. And because we have things to learn from Nigeria. You are very dynamic in many sectors, and we really want, and my president is really insist on that. We want to have relation of real partnership and exchange, not one way. We really need a two-way relationship between France and Nigeria.
There are big initiatives that you're driving. I think it would be wonderful
Yeah.
for French citizens to come here more. I think President Macron has done a great deal to promote Nigeria. When he was here, he went to Fela Kuti's shrine.
Exactly.
And as you may know, this month is Celebration as well. So I think some people will be coming from France for that.
Robert. No, he went to the shrine
Yes.
because for him and for us in France, culture is very important. You cannot work well with a country if you have not a minimum of knowledge of the culture of the country. So that was really very symbolic from him, but I think that was very important. And he took an initiative he announced in Lagos last year. We are going to organize next year in France what we called Africa 2020. That's all season of event to have African people going to France to explain more about Africa to French audience. Because we have French specialists of Africa, but what we need is African people to go to France and to explain us, to tell us about Africa in all aspects. One problem we have, especially with Nigeria, when people hear about Nigeria and France, it's mostly about Boko Haram, terrorism, problem, corruption, and so on. And the idea of President Macron is really to show that this is not the real African Nigeria. Those problems exist, but there are many, many other aspects. And I've been here for 1 year. I'm very impressed by the dynamism of the Nigerian people. They have a real entrepreneurial spirit at all levels, from the very low level to the top. And this is what we have to show to the French audience. Another aspect, for years people have thought in Europe that history in Africa began with the colonial period. And that's not true. And 2 weeks ago, I was in Ife. We have a French team, a Franco-Nigerian team of archaeologists who are really making excavation in Ife. And I was explaining that Ife town in the 13th, 14th century was one of the biggest cities in the world, as big as the biggest European cities. This is type of thing we have to explain
alongside Benin.
It's very important, but it's not that well known in Europe, frankly speaking. So that's some aspect of what we try to do to develop the relations.
Do we have dates for this Africa 2020?
It will begin in June 2020 and it will last in the end of 2020 till December. 6 months of events, not only about Nigeria. The idea is to have people coming from whole Africa to make to have events, cultural events, discussion, explanation, and art, but also philosophy, culture, and many, many different subjects.
The philosophy part I like.
Why not philosophy? Yeah, it's important too.
Yes, art is big.
There's also the basic issue of money and people's standards of living. And so, I mean, I think that a background of cultural respect is important, but I think it's also because, especially against a background where Nigeria and African countries have been making agreements with the European Union and France and so on. I don't know whether we're now going to become a beautiful bride now that the Commonwealth is going to be revived. But do the global initiatives include any of that aspect?
We have also initiative in the economic field, but it's more to the private sector to be active. But when he was here, President Macron launched also a French-Nigerian investment club. The idea is to put together business people from Mr. Dangote to less wealthy people, but also very active people, to put them in contact with their French counterpart. And, well, they have to discuss between themselves. We cannot, as government, to say to a French businessman, you are going to go to Nigeria, or to Nigerian businessman, you are going to go to France. But the idea is to put them together, and they will discuss, and I'm sure they will find many opportunities. That will take some time. But we have, well, clearly, French business people, when I meet French business people, they're all very much interested by Nigeria. They know that Nigeria is the biggest country in Africa, biggest economy, so they want to be present in Africa, but they are a little afraid because of size, because insecurity, because all one. So I explained to them, and I tried to explain them how that it's really possible to do good business in Nigeria, but that takes time to convince them. But we have successes. Since I've been here for 1 year, and I saw many French companies to come again to Nigeria. Many went in Nigeria 20 years ago.
Like Peugeot
and they're coming back. Renault came back in July, for example. They just opened a new factory in Lekki. Small one, the beginning. We had a French company for furniture, Roche-Beaubois. They had an event yesterday in Lagos and so on and so on. So there are things that are developing, but of course, it will take some time, and it's not that easy.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. I hope that closer to the Africa 2020, we can have you back for a longer period and dedicate perhaps the full program to you. If you will kindly give us the time.
Okay.
We'll be very glad to have you.
With pleasure, and thank you very much for meeting me today.
Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Grand merci beaucoup. All right, thank you very much. And we just had Ambassador Jerome Pasquier, the Ambassador of France to Nigeria, in the public square. And we'll continue right after this. Please keep listening.